Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to show you some of the new components and features that I'm adding into AiLiveComplete, which is a standalone version of App Inventor. These components are the Admob, which is for quickly adding in monetization to your app, the file picker, which is used for reading or writing from and to the external storage, the spinner picker, which is like a radio button, and app level functions, which is for keeping the screen on and disabling it from going from the screen turning off, and some other capabilities. Now you see in this picture, this is the Admob right there. This is this is a snapshot, of course. These Admob ads will be rotating. The spinner picker is like a combo box right here, and there will be like a drop down of the elements that you can specify in the CSV format. The file picker, you can create buttons, for example, to write a specific file, for example, like this one, to a specific directory, or read from a file from a specific directory. And I'm going to show you how these are done. So let's go ahead and get started and see how this is can be implemented. So let's start actually by going through the designer. I already created the app, and I'm going to just briefly going over the components. So you will see that there is a choose option here. This is the spinner picker. In the spinner picker, you can have a list of the elements like option 1, option 2, option 3, and so on in a CSV format, and you can have a selection. This will be the default selection that will be displayed in the spinner picker, and you can have a title for it. For example, show directory files or show files. The Admob, for example, in the monetization tab, you can simply just drag and drop it into the designer, and once you drop it there, there is a publisher ID that you can enter your publisher ID, and as soon as you enter it, there will be rotating ads from the Admob that will be served to the mobile device, like this one here. In the emulator, you can see that this is the Admob and the ad just rotated. The spinner picker, the one that I mentioned to you, here is the spinner picker, and you can see that it's right now, for example, it's showing you the external storage, and there is the file picker. The file picker is also in this the file handler, which is in this advanced drawer, and it's a non-visible component. Once it's dropped, it gives you capability to read and write from the external storage. And then there is what I have called a manifester. The manifester gives you some capability, such as, for example, keeping, hiding, or showing the notification bar, or keeping the screen on continuously until your application closes, until you close the application. So let's take a look. Let's see how this looks on the emulator. So if you notice here, this is the Admob again, that the ads are spinning. This is my spinner picker right here, which is currently showing the list of the files, and this is the title that I showed you that says show file. So you can, it's customizable, you can change that. And let's change it. For example, let's say that you want to create a folder on the external storage called my downloads, and there is a property that you can say you can set the file handler point to that specific directory. So the logic behind this button is going to set that for you. So if you notice here, the files have changed. So this is the spinner picker. There is currently no files there. So let me create some content. Create a file called foo.txt and write this content into that file, and write it to that folder right here, my downloads. So I'm going to write the file, and you can see that it says, okay, this is done. This is the response that comes back, and if you notice here, there is a file in that directory, the my downloads, and it's called foo.txt. Let's create another file. I'm going to call that foo2.txt and write the file. So if you notice here, there is now 2 files there in that specific folder, this folder right there. And let's now read from this file called foo2.txt. If I read the file, this is the content that it shows. I'm basically writing this content right here into that folder, into that file. There's a feature in there that you can say, okay, you want to append to it. If you append to it, it's going to write the content. It's going to append to that existing file. If the file does not exist, it's going to create a new one. So let's write, this is a test for append. So I'm going to write to that file again, and it says it's done. So let's read from the file, and this is the content here, the appended. So let me write to it again several times and read from the file, and you notice that the content has been updated and it's been appended to the file. If I take the append off and write to the file and read from it again, you notice that this content is now brand new, and the file was basically overwritten, the content of it. So those are for for writing and reading to the file. And there is a way that you can get the list of the files in the directory that you specify, and it shows you the list of the files. If you blank out and you don't set any specific folder, and you get if you don't set any specific folders, it actually points you to the root folder for the external storage, and you notice that these are all the folders in the external storage. I will be adding a delete functionality that lets you actually delete a directory also, or delete a file actually. Let's see how this actually looks in the designer. I'm sorry, in the blocks editor. So in the blocks editor, this is all the code that's actually handling what I just showed you in the emulator. For writing to the file, there is a blocks here that says file handler, write file, and basically you pass it a file name, you pass it the content that you want to write, and you tell it whether you want to append or not. So basically what I told it is that I want to write to this file right there, the foo2. The content that I'm writing to it is this content right there, and this checkbox I was using to tell it whether I want to append or not. And as soon as I wrote to it, the spinner picker that I had created, there is a property called the file handler directory list, which basically returns a list. And I was setting the list into the elements of that spinner picker. So this is, for example, showing all the files in the current directory, and I was assigning it to the elements. For reading a file, there is a file handler, read file, and just give it the file that you want to read. For the manifester, I might be changing the name later, but you just tell it, okay, you want to keep the screen on or off, and the default is just the default is off. Some of the other features for the storage folder, the file handler storage folder, this is where you're actually setting a reference or a pointer to the folder that you want your file handler to point to. For example, the directory name right there, this corresponds to this storage folder. So basically I was setting the storage folder to this specific directory, and as soon as I was setting it to that, I was getting the list of the directories for that folder and then displaying it in the spinner picker, which is the combo right there. And that is basically it. And for the Admob component, there is no blocks here. And again, if I want to change the publisher ID for the blocks editor, what I could do is for the Admob, there is a publisher ID. I just use this, and I can set it to specific publisher. So all you need to do is put in your own publisher ID. And once you execute this, then the ads are going to display. So if you put an invalid publisher ID, for example, if I execute this block right there, because the publisher ID is invalid, the Admob will go away. If I put a valid publisher ID, this is my own publisher ID. So if I execute that, the Admob should be coming back right there again, and the ads rotating. So these are some of the features that I'm currently working on, and I just wanted to demo. And if you like these features to be officially released into AiLiveComplete, give a thumbs up and on the YouTube, and I appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye.